Hello students, welcome to our next session with Paper, Media and Society. I, Dr. Ghazala Bhoje from Department of Sociology, GM Women's College. Today we will be elaborating on the Unit 4, Media Effects on Socio-Cultural Life. Today our reflection basically will be on media effects and violence. The things we will be covering will be understanding media effects on children, adults, senior citizens. We will be speaking about media effects in correlation with violence, with relevance to children, adult, women, etc. Media has been playing an important role in our lives. Every day we consume media in one form or another, like newspaper, songs playing in auto rickshaw, car, bus, or while using internet in a mobile. Media can be classified in two forms, namely the folk media and that of electronic media. Now, the word folk has been derived from a German word folk, which means the people. Folk media is media of the people. It has its root in local culture, peasants, villagers, and tribal society. Folk media still uses human arts, language, customs, traditions. Example, puppetry, traditional dance forms, folk songs, nukkad natak, that is street theatre. On the other hand, we have electronic media which emerge or can be connected with that of industrialization and mass culture. Electronic media is more connected to that of machine. City dwellers are closer to that of the modern media which is communicated through electronic forms. Media effect can be immediate or long term. It can be temporary or permanent. The effect can be both positive or negative. The level of effect can be both at macro or micro level. Now, whether we realize it or not, when we read, see, hear in the media does affect us. Media effects refers to the influence of media exposure on people, and these effects, as we said already, it can be positive or negative. Some effects can be clearly and visibly seen, like policies, awareness, debates, discussion, recognition. These are visible on long-term basis too. At times, we memorize the things we observe in media, and over a period of time, kind of accumulation takes place. We try to gather all the knowledge and reflect and act according to it. The effect of media can also have last lifetime effect, like we remember our childhood cartoons, serials, etc. At individual level, media effects could be a cognitive effect, changes in belief, attitude, physiological changes, and even behavioral changes could take place. There are other effects also of media, like it could be triggering, altering, or reinforcing certain ideologies. Now we speak about media effect with special reference or in context to children. Media affects all age groups. Children spend lot of hours sitting in front of televisions watching cartoons. Now we have the OTT. In fact, it becomes a form of socialization through which children are able to visualize themselves in those characters, like they have the superheroes, learn morals, values, life skills, problem solving, expressing emotions, etc. They in fact start imitating those characters as they are able to associate themselves with it. So, if their superhero is violent, then the child would also imitate those patterns at times. especially those children who have screen time more with television. Now, there is even a warning sign that this is being done under expert training facilities and so on. In today's time, the technology of touch or smart device like Alexa, large screen mobile phones, smart television, desktop has led to overconsumption of media among children. Advertisements also use children to sell their products. There are children who dress up like adults and then are used to explain a product. These grabs attention of both of the adults and the child as it's different. We do obviously find this in the advertisements where they try to capture the attention. We could say that the influence of media on children also affects how kids perceive what is and what is not acceptable. Smoking is an example of it. What is the effect of media on adults and senior citizens? On the whole, social media seems to have positive effect on senior citizens' well-being. Internet use has been shown to reduce seniors' risk of depression by as much as 33%. The people who stay alone or have retired and have plenty of free time, for them, the human replacement is through that of television or any form of media, especially in the metropolitan cities where the pace of life is faster, as George Simmel points out in his famous paper, Metropolis and Mental Life. City dwellers have blah attitude. In being in city, one becomes distant, calculative about time, money. This leads to loneliness. This gap is filled by that of media. Even social media helps people fill that gap by of boredom, sense of nothingness, and hence we see people beneath YouTube videos commenting, arguing, cursing, body shaming, or even speaking positively, thanking, and encouraging. All this one can do with the touch in the home and with the screen. So both behavioral psychology and that of convenience comes together because of that social media is used heavily by all age groups. We need to reflect. One of the study has found that senior citizens who use Facebook show improved cognitive performance or functions. Now, in present time, we all see the memes, we all see the status, we all see the pics, where it shows that weekend relaxation mode has changed for many, like that of sitting with popcorn, Netflix, or Prime and watching series. People do not sleep at night in order to complete the series. There is also peer pressure involved with social media. When one doesn't see a particular series and is unable to contribute in the discussion with friends, he or she feels sidelined and as a result ends up watching series and spending lot of time. The OTT platforms operate on the principle of hook, where they create a habit among individuals of convenience, and then one becomes a regular customer and can also become an addict for it. We have a good example of Money Heist. We have many series where there are things where people are hooked and where they share their opinions and which are and good examples where we could or there is an exhibition of violence malpractices. This results in individuals spending less time outdoor and leaves little scope for developing social skills, etc. Media effects with special reference to violence. I just spoke about Money Heist, where we saw the heist, a lot of violence, many kind of consequences, and they are winning the mastery. So it does highlight many immoral and violence act. In digital era, where there is access to heavy information, individuals are exposed to a range of emotions within seconds through media. Let it through YouTube, Insta stories, reel, or reality shows. Drama is created through violence, fights, expression of anger, etc. And that is what grabs attention of audience and helps increasing the television rating point, the TRP. Sensitive contents like caste-based violence, rape related news can at times create more problem. It can spread out more harm than good for the individuals. There would be sense of ethnocentrism created and people could end up turning violent as the sense of identity is invoked through channels, news channels on sensitive topics like religion, rights, etc. This could harm the communal harmony and peace in the society. The studies of violence in mass media analyzes the degree of correlation between themes of violence in media sources with real world aggression and violence over time, particularly violence in video game, televisions, films. Now, complaint regarding or the complaints related to violence and media has been present throughout history. Studies point out a continuous exposure to violence through television, movies, video games, cell phones, internet increase the viewer's risk of violent behavior, just as growing up in violent environment increases the risk of them behaving violently. Depiction of violence in media upon children. A child views the world through the information which is available around him or her. Cartoons where heroes hit the villains or video games where one has to kill the enemy and earn points is also a form of violence exposure which fail which we fail to look into, where there is a kind of reward which is being promoted in justification of harming someone. In fact, parents, adults, siblings also join and play such games. This has negative effect both on his or her physical health and mental well-being. Most media violence research do say that there is more of youth aggression rather than violence. The National Institute of Mental Health did study in 1982 that identified the following primary impact of watching violence on television. There is greater chance of children become less sensitive to pain and sufferings of others. As we are saying here, the cartoons where we hit a villain or a video game, if there is you kill a enemy or you win, you earn points. So it is kind of promoting a notion, a positive notion that you do this and a justification that you are getting a reward for this. Children are sometimes scared of their surroundings. Children may be more likely to act aggressive or harm others. It is observed that television, video games, heavy usage also create desensitizing effect and the potentials for aggression among children. Media violence scholars have identified several basic psychological processes involved. They differ somewhat from short-term versus long-term effects, but they all involve various types of learning. Short-term effects are those that occur immediately after exposure. The main ways that media violence exposure increases is aggression in short term are direct imitation of observed behavior, observational learning of attitudes, beliefs, expected benefits of aggression, and increased excitations too. It could lead to a way of aggressive way of thinking and feeling. Studies also point out that violence in media such as television, movies, music and video game possesses a substantial risk to teenagers' health and mental health and children. Here we spoke about the aggression. We are speaking about a constant thing where the exposure, the harsh even lights have the visual impacts on the brain and their functionings. Media violence can also contribute to violent behavior, which could lead to desensitization of the children, their feelings, the impact on their empathy. They could have nightmares and even fear of being harmed by among children or by others. The trolling has a lot of impact on their personality, self-esteem, their development altogether, about their own self. It is necessary that pediatricians and other child health care providers, parents, teachers advocate for safer media environment for children by promoting media literacy. This would lead to more thoughtful and proactive media use by children and their parents. Effect of violence in media upon adults. A study conducted among 100 men in the age group of 18 to 21 who studied undergraduates reports that exposure to violence led to change in behavior. Despite the links between media violence and aggression, Ederson stressed that media violence is only one of the many risk factors for later aggressive and violent behavior. Exposure to media violence may play a role in development of bad health attitudes and behavior. The adults exposed to violent media during the study or as reflected by the studies have developed blood pressure, negative effect, hostile social information processing, uncooperative behavior, permissive attitudes towards violence, alcohol uses, marijuana uses, sexual activities without safe use of condom. In, in discussing, again, we could say that aggression is always followed by the use of violent or justified violent behavior and attitude in the way of hitting, kicking, etc. Experimental research on adults show that exposure to violent media also raised negative emotion, aggressive behavior in the immediate aftermath of exposure, including physical assault, as I said, hitting, kicking, choking, wrestling in children and younger adolescents. According to the findings of current longitudinal survey research, the research highlighted that or focused on the increased childhood exposure to television and media violence increases the occurrence of substantial aggression. As earlier also said, that aggression is the immediate impact after watching any kind of violent games or any kind of violent series or so on related to consequences and criminality behavior in early adults. Video games. The heavy usage of video games like Blue Whale takes all the attention and individual forgets to live in the real world and view the video as reality, which we term now as virtual reality, artificial intelligence. As a result, individuals even end up giving their lives. In other words, the violence is carried out on oneself. People even spend playing games in home at night and develop addiction of video games. As a result, they are frustrated, unable to control themselves when they develop this addiction. We could see the impact on the parent on their studies, the parents complaining about the more time they spend on screen. Media and its impact effect on violence upon women. The toxic masculinity portrayed in cinema is also imitated by individuals in real world. This results in superiority thoughts among individuals and at times harm is inflicted upon those who are powerless. Media can play a significant role in either perpetuating or challenging social norms and behaviors that condone violence against women. As we all know, new media is a platform for objectification of women and girls, ranging from cyber stalking to posting of inappropriate images of women. According to an expert report to the Commission on Status of Women states that women have increasingly reported incidents of footage of them engaged in social or sexual activity, including rape, being posted on internet sites without their consent. How women are to be depicted in the media. The UN Women supports media monitoring such studies. It is important. There is a need to engage media professionals for raising awareness about gender equality. As we know, media is the biggest form which can bring about change in the society. It could bring about awareness about gender equality, violence which is happening against women, the stereotypical scenes which are shown about women in the four walls of the house, the promotion of the pornography. This could be tackled through special workshops, toolkits, and we could they could help encourage gender sensitive reporting. It is important to develop communication and media skills so that gender sensitization awareness against violence is done and media could be the biggest source. According to the study of gender stereotypes in Georgian media, it was found that the majority of journalists lacked awareness of gender issues and had stereotypical attitudes which dominated the coverage of women's issues. Now, it is important that the parents play an important role where especially the children and the exposure is concerned. Some steps which parents can take is that of avoiding children's exposure to media, especially child who is below 2 years, as kids are in their formative years of understanding world, society, behavior, language, action, etc. They are developing their concept of self too. Family being the primary institution which influences child development, it plays an important role in the worldview of the child. And hence, change has to begin from home. Parents themselves have to regulate their own behavior. Children imitate the behavior of their own parents. If parents are involved in healthy activities like reading books, gardening, walking, hobbies, instead of watching televisions, then children could also enjoy these activities. It is often observed when child is crying, parents give the mobiles to watch cartoons so that the child does not cry. However, this has long-term effect on child several aspects of the child gets impacted. Lack of concentration, gratification, etc. is impacted. Hence, parents should not give them mobile phones. It is important the parents, the society, the media all come together to bring a change in the society, a positive change in the society where children, senior citizens, adults, women, all are concerned. I end the video and I will be following up with Unit 4 with the theories of bullet theory, media integration, etc. in the next video. Thank you so much. See you all soon. Bye. Take care.